are now tuned in to the Lineman Lounge, the world's thickest sports podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Evo.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I am Mike. That is Evo, and we are back. It is a Sunday. It's a little crappy, a little rainy out here, but, man, I am excited to be back. I am kind of up and down feeling right now, so I may, if you guys see any looks of pain on my face, there probably is some there, or I'm having a bladder spasm and currently taking a piss. But outside of that, man, I'm fucking pumped to be here. It's good to see you, and we got a ton of shit to talk about because this week has been wild, especially in the NFL. But I mean, we got trade deadline talk. We got big names on the move, big names not on the move. In terms of Major League Baseball. So there's a ton of shit going on that we got to go over. But brother, how you doing? How's the weekend going? I see that you're out putting some work into the body. You look good, brother.
Yeah. Me and the lady are deciding to take a little health journey. We'll see how long it lasts, but been working out all this last week and eating healthy, eating clean with meal preps and whatnot. So still doing that. And then just got my early Sunday morning workout, went to church and got that in before the show here. So I don't expect to be in as much pain as you or pass out or anything, but maybe it hasn't caught up with me yet because I just slammed my protein shake and ready for the show. I'm going to be sipping on some liquid death here. Not a sponsor, could be drinking it all the time. So hopefully I'll be hydrated enough to keep going.
Yeah, so I'm going to also continue to hydrate. I'm not drinking probably for quite some time still. Definitely not drinking while I have a catheter in because that's the last thing I need is to pee all of the time.
Which is the update we all wanted. The catheter is still in. Yeah,
the catheter is still in, but appointment tomorrow. They're going to pump my bladder full of a dye and make sure that my bladder is not leaking. If I am not leaking, Tuesday it comes out, and then we're going straight back to Pound Town with producer Amber, who also, thank you, I love you, baby, very much. Happy anniversary. Today is our 8th anniversary. So as soon as this catheter gets out, I'm ready to go bang.
Giving her the business. Now you have to make sure the doctors give you the catheter so we can see it hanging on that wall behind you.
Yeah.
It'd be a great ornament.
That would be an interesting thing to have up on the show. I will ask them for sure, though, if I can take it with me, if it's possible. I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, it's
really bonded with mine. Yeah,
I'm tired of bonding with it.
Of course,
I'm fucking annoyed. So is the tip of my penis. But I'm done with this thing. However, you're right. I don't have to get up to take a piss. If I have to get up to go use the bathroom, though, it might be a minute because there's only one thing I would really need to do. Thank you. Thank you for the anniversary wishes, guys. Appreciate that. But
alrighty,
man, we got anything else to kind of go over to get in, like any introductions, any big news that we need to kind of get out of the way? I took care of the one anniversary with our producer, my lovely wife, the lady who, make sure I have not died during this process. So,
yeah, I think we're basically good other than the big sports news. Cause I mean, like I said, there's plenty of that. We've got a little bit of basketball news to go over today. MLB stuff with the trade deadline, big UFC last night.
Big UFC last night.
And NFL training camps are going on. You are starting to see the injuries. You're starting to see holdouts, hold-ins. You're seeing a lot of action already, and we got all that to go over today. So it's going to be a deep dive in the NFL. We're getting really back into it.
Yeah, I'm fucking pumped. NFL is back, baby. Training camps are open, which means from this day forward, we're going to have NFL news to talk about damn near every week. I don't think we will see a lull like we saw in the middle of the summer. So, we will talk about that. Her badass parlay win from the UFC last night. But I did not get to see the boxing match with Terrence Crawford, but Terrence got a win there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm ready to start diving in. Quick news on youth sports. So baseball season is over. Still want to get all those kids together, take them out to a baseball game as soon as I, don't have a catheter and all that stuff. Do our end of the year party. So that is kind of in the works, but waiting on some more things to go. Football started up. Graydon is at practice, but he is not allowed to hit. He has seen the oral maxillary or whatever the fuck it's called surgeon and says, hey, I need you to wait one more week before any contact starts to happen. And then when contact does start to happen, we'll be making sure that we keep a very close eye on all of that, getting him back acclimated to all of that and make sure nothing crazy is happening with his eye or that orbital bone. So good for you sports. I got nothing else there. You got anything you sports wise?
Nothing youth sports wise, but I say we kick right into the UFC because recency bias. That was last night. We're less than almost 12 hours removed from the fights, and they were pretty spectacular.
Yeah, they were fucking awesome, dude. Now it took me a while to get the card on.
It's tough to figure out all the payment stuff, right?
Yeah, so that was the thing last night is it took me so long to try to figure out the payment thing that I actually had to just go over to ESPN Plus.
Oh.
Yeah, so this is a card that I had no interest in missing. I was not going to go back and watch highlights. I wanted to watch this motherfucker live.
It was an expensive one too.
Yeah, it was. So we ended up doing a little bundle package, ESPN Plus for a year and the card. I mean, not a big deal because I always pay for the UFC.
We absolutely 100% make sure to get Dana White his money so that way he can push the pennies out to his fighters.
Yeah, because they obviously pay them incredibly well over there at the UFC.
100%.
So I did have to go on ESPN Plus. It was nice. There was no lag on ESPN Plus, and the fights were fucking fantastic, man. Dude, we can start with first fight on the main card. Derek Holland, dude,
Kevin Holland.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin Holland, not Derek Holland.
Versus Michael Chiesa.
Yeah, and Michael Chiesa is no fucking joke. Like, that man is a good fighter and very good on the ground. And then Holland goes out and finishes him with a fucking Darce choke of all things in the first round. Like, and that just kind of started off the night. Like, some things that you were not expecting to happen happened on this card. So right from the very get-go, I was pumped. What did you think of the first fight? I don't know how much you know about Chiesa or Holland. Holland is definitely up and coming, I think.
I knew Holland. I actually thought Chiesa would end up winning this one. But, it was a great submission there by Kevin Holland. A fun fight to watch. And that's the second time I believe Chiesa has actually been submitted by that Darce choke. Yeah. So it might be a thing that he needs to practice a little bit more or watch out for because having that same thing happen twice on the big stage is not great.
Yeah, that's tough. It's very, very tough.
Yeah, it was a good fight for Kevin Holland. Right after that, though, we had Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green going out there. And Ferguson.
Can we talk about the fact he needs to retire, right? Like,
I think so. He's
lost what, 6 in a row now? And it's not like he's just losing tough decisions. He is getting beat the fuck up.
Well, there were 6 seconds left in round 3, the final round. And if that arm triangle hadn't have happened, Bobby Green still would have won because he was really putting it to Tony Ferguson. Now, Tony Ferguson's been a great fighter for a long time. It's just, it's passed him by. Joe Rogan made a comment last night about how, a lot of times you see these fighters on the downhill, but they might still have one last good fight. This was not it. It was not it last night. I don't know if it's going to be in the cards for Tony Ferguson, which isn't to say that he hasn't had a great career, that he's not, a legend.
No, one of the great champions of the lightweight division in Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I feel bad, seeing him have to go down like that, but, it is what it is. Bobby Green looked great. I hate his fucking stupid little spiky beard thing, but
the spiky beard's not great, but listen, neither one of these guys are going to be competing for a title probably ever again. But I believe that Tony Ferguson needs to hang it up. Like, when you're on a streak this bad and you're getting beat up, like, losing a fight is losing a fight. But there's a difference between losing and just getting battered in the octagon. And that's kind of where Tony's been his last couple fights. I hope that he hangs it up. I hope that he sails off into the sunset and that he is remembered for being the great lightweight champion that he was for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. But after that, that's when things started getting real interesting. We had Derek Lewis and Marcos Rogero de Lima. And that one was only 33 seconds long because Derek Lewis came out with a flying knee. The boy was cut. He's lost some weight. You look how thick he is, but you can still see the six pack. And not only was it a great TKO by punches because the flying knee took down de Lima like right away.
Immediately. Yeah.
And then Derek Lewis just went haymakers on him, hammer fist, and they had to call it real quick. And of course, like great fucking fun to watch that happen. But Derek Lewis is like the best post-fight, celebration and interview.
He's a national fucking treasure. He is a national treasure in his post-fight interviews.
And for those who maybe aren't as big into UFC, you might have heard this. My balls is hot. That's what really made him big. Was he took his shorts off in one of his fights, and Joe Rogan goes up and he's like, "Why'd you take your shorts off?" And he's like, "My balls is hot." Like he kept it real with Joe Rogan in the octagon. And what does he do last night? Well, he does a couple little sexy moves, dancing around, humping the mat and whatnot afterwards, then whips his fucking shorts off. Again.
Shorts off, fucking suck it signs several times.
And doing
a
lot of the D-Generation X stuff. Like it was great. And then his interview afterwards, he's like, shit, fuck it. And
I was going to try to throw some bullshit and see if it landed. It did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Joe. Did you plan on coming out with the flying knee? He's like, hell no. I was just gonna throw some bullshit at him to see what's up. Fantastic. And if you go to the Lineman Lounge Facebook page, the video is up there of him and both his knockout or his TKO and the post-fight interview.
And in all of his glory at the end there.
It is worth the watch. So get on the Facebook, check that out if you didn't see it last night. If you weren't like us with pockets too deep to not pay for the match, and you had to wait for everything to come out afterwards, you can pop on and see those little bits of victory for both the main card or the main event and this fight. That's all on the Facebook.
So I got a question though. Now that we see Derek Lewis trimmed down, good shape, comes out and throws things like a flying fucking knee, which you would have never expected. Are we going to see a little bit of a resurgence here? Kind of get back up there in title contention for Derek Lewis?
Honestly, I don't know if he's that caliber of fighter to be like, it sounds pretty bad to say that because obviously he just went out there and whooped some ass.
Oh yeah. I mean, we love Derek Lewis.
But I don't like, I think that he will always be like that tier below championship level. Now, seeing him lose the weight, be a little bit more cut up and have that sort of explosiveness, that was awesome to see. And so it'll be interesting in his next fights to see if that is maintained, if that is something going forward that he's going to keep doing, and how much more stamina he really will have through the length of the fight, because that could be a difference maker. Odds are, no, I don't think he's going to be actually vying for a championship anytime soon. I think that, he will, again, be that tier below and kind of start to hit that ceiling. But like he said, he doesn't have a contract next. He's hoping Daniel will give it to him. But if not, fuck it. Oh, well, that's life, according to Derek Lewis. So it is what it is.
There are plenty of other places that you can go and fight nowadays. You can go over PFL. And they'll pay you pretty goddamn well.
Mm-hmm.
So
then next popping up, and we have Facebook user, another happy anniversary. And theirs is
thanks, guys.
8-8 tomorrow. But our co-main event, Jan Blachowicz. I always fucked it up. I want to call him Blaskovich from fucking. Yeah.
Well, and it was being pronounced in ways that I had not heard last night by was it Bruce Buffer? Like he was saying it as like, I'm fairly certain, Bruce, that's not how you say his name, but there's a higher chance that I'm fucking wrong because I don't work with Jan Blachowicz. Yep.
But we had Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira, and Pereira ended up coming out with a donkey on him. He had a big ass. Me and the girl noticed it as soon as he took his shorts off. We're like, God damn, what is he walking around with this dump truck? And he put it to work and took Jan to to the full 3 rounds and ended up being a decision. It was a split decision, but I mean, honestly, Jan, after round 1, which I think Jan won, after that, he started to look real tired.
And I mean, he had to wrestle him.
Conditioning.
Like, Blachowicz is known for the Polish power. Like, he can knock a motherfucker out anytime he wants. But he is not as technically sound as an Alex Pereira. Like, if you're going to stand there with Alex Pereira, you better be incredibly technically sound with your stand-up game. And Jan's not. Jan is power. So I think it was the right decision to take him down because, like, he's got to catch him to actually win the stand-up fight. But he just didn't have the gas for it because he's not typically a big-time wrestler. Alex was able to battle back. Now, it wasn't still clean cut. Alex won on a split decision, 29-28 with 2 of the judges.
And to be completely honest, Jan at the very end of the fight had one more takedown. And just like the announcers were saying, in that takedown, if he had actually put some damage on, it would have been there. It would have been a little bit more of a close call there, and he actually could have pulled out that 3rd round as the victor. And that's why there was that split decision. Like, it was that close, I think, that if he had on that takedown actually put some damage on him instead of just basically holding him in the guard, it could have been Jan's fight. But he just looked super tired. He didn't look as cut as he normally does out there. So I think some of his conditioning is going down maybe a little bit. Age is catching up with him. I think he's 35 or something like that. So age is starting to catch up with him a little bit, I think. And unfortunately, that could be the downhill slide for Jan as well.
Yeah. Well, and Alex is going to be at that weight division for a while from what it sounds like in the post-fight interview. And that allows him to even bulk up a little bit more because he didn't really have to cut for this fight. So he's not coming in cutting and being drained energy-wise. So that probably helped him make it through all 3 of these rounds, and, being wrestled for 4 minutes and 35 fucking seconds in the first round. Like, you're able to recover when you're not doing this massive weight cut. So if he can gain a little bit, like he gets up to walking around 225, maybe even a little lighter, 220, and he only has to cut to 205, like he could be dangerous at that weight level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
but from there we go on to the main event: Poirier versus Gaethje 2, the BMF title. They last fought and Poirier won, I believe, in 2018, and that was a hell of a fight. That was fight of the year, I believe, that year, and those dudes went at it. So that's what got me excited for this whole card. Was that 2018 fight was impressive, intense. Yes. Yeah. And I told you yesterday I put a parlay out there for Poirier to win because I thought Poirier would win, but I wanted Gaethje to win. That's what I was telling my girl too. I was like, I like Gaethje. I want Gaethje to win, but I think Poirier is going to win. And boy, was I wrong. We get into round 2. And
that fucking head kick.
Round 1 was pretty close, but I think Gaethje had edged it out. And then round 2, the same, a punch from right side and then followed right by the kick because that punch caused Poirier to duck towards the punch because he thought a 1-2 was coming. And the second one was a leg from the same side. Caught him right in the neck, knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, game over. He was done. The shot at the end, not needed, but you always put the one shot on until you get stopped.
Absolutely. Yep.
Like, it was beautiful. Gaethje is still from the time that Gaethje lost that fight to Poirier, he has been on a really good fucking run. Like, obviously he loses to Jesus Christ, Khabib, but he took a round off Khabib. Almost nobody takes rounds off Khabib. Like, and he has been winning consistently good fucking fights since that last loss to Poirier. And now he goes out and he gets the finish. I was super pumped for producer Amber. She had a fantastic parlay set up. So she went with Ferguson Green, had to make it over 2.5 rounds, made it over the 2.5 minute mark in round 3. Derek Lewis, Alex Pereira, and Poirier. $5 turns into $225. So it was a good bet. I was pumped for her. And man, I love Gaethje. Like, I want to see, he's still a guy that I think has a chance to compete for a title at that weight class. Yep. I don't know that Dustin is there though.
I could see both these guys doing it. I think this is going to be a wake up call for Dustin now. That's because Dustin's been but I mean, what he's beaten Connor twice, and
Yeah.
like that really made a name for him. And he's taken down some really solid fighters. Poirier has looked awesome, but this was kind of the same thing I think it was for Gaethje, where Gaethje was like had to take a step back, take his lesson from the loss to Poirier, and he built himself into such a better fighter. He's way more sound and less wild with his fight. And now Poirier is going to have that same sort of internal, like, what happened here? I need to grow. And is this going to, iron sharpen iron type of situation here? They're both just going to get better from this. So
yeah, I don't think either one of them are close to being done. I don't know if Poirier will get back up into the title. Gaethje is not far away from now having that opportunity again.
Yeah.
With that win last night.
In October, we have the title fight, and then after that, I think Gaethje might be our next contender for that title. So, but awesome card last night on UFC 291. Looking forward to seeing more of that. And then we got Sean O'Malley coming up next, right?
Yeah, Sean O'Malley fighting for the title against Aljamain Sterling. I hope Sean O'Malley absolutely fucking starches him.
It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one.
And listening to the commentary last night, like obviously the UFC has to pump up their champions, right? But they were like talking about Aljamain Sterling being this like dominant champion, and that's just not fucking true. He won the title because Jan DQ'd himself, but he was losing that fight before Jan fucking did something incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
I don't think that he beat Triple C, Henry Cejudo. I mean, he won that on a split decision. I don't think that he's looked as impressive as people are talking about, and I am ready to usher in the fucking Sean O'Malley era, and I believe that the UFC is ready to usher in the Sean O'Malley era as well, because he's the next guy, just like Connor was.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's Sterling. I don't think he's a bad fighter, but I don't think that we have seen enough for him to actually be in that championship status. It's just the way the deck of cards fell worked out for him is kind of how I see it. So now O'Malley's going to go in and push that deck of cards over.
Yeah, I think so as well. Sean is a stud, man. I fucking love Sean O'Malley.
All right. Well, unless there's anything else with UFC you want to talk about, we can move on to a little bit of basketball news.
Yeah, so I'm good on the UFC. Let's head over to the basketball.
All right. So in basketball, not a whole bunch going on in the NBA, but one thing of note is that Bronny James, son of King James, he had a cardiac arrest recently, a big time health scare, which again, cardiac arrest, that is what happened with DeMar Hamlin in the NFL, where he actually died for a little bit on the field. So this is nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah, this is a big deal. I mean, this is something that we've seen. I believe it's now 3 athletes in the last year, because there was the swimmer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it's obviously it's very scary. See, the DeMar Hamlin thing, I think, brought a heightened attention to the severity of what is actually happening and the medical attention that is needed for these people to be resuscitated. It's incredibly scary. There was a young athlete in Sierra Vista who suffered a cardiac arrest on football field after taking a hit. I want to say 2 seasons ago, maybe 1 season ago. That shit is scary, man. Like it's no joke. I'm glad that Bronny's doing better right now, though.
Yeah. He was released, I believe, 2 days ago or 3 days ago from Cedars-Sinai in LA because he is going to be playing there at USC, and it was during a USC practice, I believe.
So when are they going to be able to clear him to go back and play basketball? Now, obviously, the DeMar Hamlin thing, it happened, I think, due to the impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you hit that area of your body at the exactly wrong fucking time, and it can stop your heart, send you into a cardiac arrest. But this seems a little different to me. Now, I'm not by far not a doctor at all. Like we might need to pop up the conjecture from Dummy Thick Idiots fucking banner real quick.
There we go.
There we go. Because I am not a doctor, but basketball, you're probably not taking those kinds of impacts that would cause your heart to be at the wrong beat when it's hit and stop. So are we certain that, I mean, I hope he is cleared to go back and play and everything works fine, but it seems like it's a different situation between Bronny and what happened with DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to why. Like, maybe it is just some sort of a recency bias, or the fact that we're seeing more of these things happening, through social media and stuff, because it's happened on a little bit more high profile stages. But it feels like, obviously, that we've been having an increase in cardiac arrests. Now, this is still to say, like, it's been what, 3 more so major ones that we know of, with DeMar Hamlin kind of being the biggest one, Bronny here probably being the second biggest. But is this something that it's just a bias that we're seeing it more now? Is this something that has regularly been happening, or is this happening more often now? And then what is the cause behind that? Because what the hell?
I can promise you that there are going to be people who are going to point the finger at one thing. And honestly, it's kind of hard to not agree with them. Like, if you want to toss on your tinfoil hat and be like, maybe those COVID shots weren't a good idea. Like, I mean, I'm maybe saying it, but I'm maybe not saying it.
We are 2 dummy thick idiots who are not licensed professionals.
Yeah,
But
not at all.
Yeah, we're getting a strike from YouTube.
Yeah, we're definitely getting a strike.
It's all right. Hey, it's something that is worth thinking about potentially. All right. Because if it isn't just some sort of a weird bias, and this hasn't been happening as much up until the past couple of years, there could be a correlation. There could be a lot of correlations, though, because the American diet has changed so much over the years.
A lot of things have changed with American
Performance
culture,
enhancers
everything. Like
performance enhancers that are allowed, from like pre-workouts and things like that, different supplements and things like that. So who knows? It could be a plethora of things.
Could be a number of things, including the one that nobody wants to say it could be.
Absolutely. But with that, is there anything else with the NBA that you'd like to go over that's happened recently? I didn't really have a whole lot.
No. But hey, Bronny, get better, man. Go out there. As soon as you're cleared, go kill it at USC. We'll see you in the league in the year, assuming everything goes well with your health. Can't wait to see you in the NBA, man.
Alrighty. Next up, we'll move over to Major League Baseball. Both of our teams are doing super hot. We've lost 4 in a row for my Minnesota Twins, 2 in a row for you, and you're now a game and a half back, I believe, there in the Central. So it's really starting to heat up as usual.
If you guys are 2 games over 500, we're a game under, and this is the race that everybody was hoping for in the fucking AL Central.
Absolutely. In addition to that, we have the Max Scherzer trade happening.
Yes. Dude, okay, so this is a very crazy thing to happen. Like, we were talking about the Mets at the beginning of the year, like they were spending motherfucking money. They didn't give a shit how much money they were going to spend. They were going to go out and they were going to win a fucking piece of metal. Fuck you, Rob Manfred. And they are, not quite the bottom of their division. They are fucking 6 games under 500, 18 games out of the division. And if I pop over to the wild card real quick, they are 7 games out of the wild card. They just traded one of their prized possessions from this offseason. They traded their closer. They're going in the rebuild. They're tucking tail and saying, you know what? This was a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. They got, I believe, just one player back in the Scherzer trade, Luis Angel Acuna, a 21-year-old middle infielder who's been playing down in Double-A, I believe.
Ronald Acuna's little brother.
Yep, he'll probably be the Mets' top prospect now going forward. But again, that is a look to the future, because obviously this season is kind of lost.
Yeah, I mean, so this looks like, okay, we got to dump as much money as possible. Let's diminish our luxury tax. Because I believe at a certain point in Major League Baseball, if you go over a certain amount of money, there is a luxury tax. They do have a little bit of a hindrance in place for teams not spending, $0.4 billion fucking dollars, like the Mets were doing. So they got no shot this year. There's going to be a lot more upheaval, a lot more turnover. They are going to be looking to possibly move players from other deals that they don't like either. Francisco Lindor could be on the move after a massive deal that he received. Like this is not over. There's still a couple days before the trade deadline is up. I do not think this will be the last move the Mets make. They're going to shed salary cap and they're going to try to get some prospects, but they need to get more than one guy for one guy.
Yeah, I mean, draft picks don't mean as much, obviously, but
they can't trade draft picks,
minor league prospects and whatnot. Right.
Yeah, you need 2-3 prospects back from this trade. Now, I understand if they're like, if you want our number one prospect, the best prospect, I think he's a top 100 prospect. He might have been very highly ranked prospect wise. I understand, like, okay, that's great. 1-for-1 swap. You're not spending any money right now, but you got to have enough pieces to make sure that one of those pieces fucking hit to replace a Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
Like all of your eggs are in this one Acuna basket. Now his brother is the future NL MVP this year, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be that guy. So
you can hope.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, the Scherzer trade, kind of surprising, but the Rangers are going all in.
Mm-hmm.
They have made several moves to go out and get pieces to go and try to knock off the Astros from that division and from being the representative in the AL. Because that's happened, 2 of the last 3 years now?
Something like that.
I want to say it's 2 of the last 3, but
you might be correct.
Yeah, the Rangers are they're fucking all in. Good for them because the Rangers have sucked for a really long time, but they got money. They're obviously willing to go spend. They're willing to go make trades and get pieces to make this team better.
Absolutely. Other big news in Major League Baseball, one that we had kind of been watching, Shohei Ohtani is probably staying with the Angels now. So the Angels are saying that they're not going to trade him. They're going to work on getting that big fucking deal for him because the guy's going to get paid. And this is what we had kind of talked about, I believe, last show, saying we both think that the Angels would be smart to retain him. You're never going to get back as much as you could or should for this sort of a player when you're talking about a generational type of player.
That's exactly what he is too. He's a generational player.
Yeah.
Probably the generational player. They got to keep him, but are they willing to do other things? Because listen, they got some pieces over there that they needed to get rid of. Like Anthony Rendon's got to go. He hasn't played third base for them hardly at all since he's signed a big money deal. Mike Trout oft injured at this point in his career. Do they think about offloading a Mike Trout to try to get some prospects back? There's a lot of things that need to happen because the current makeup of this team is not a winning team. Like they do not win enough the way they are currently set up. So you're going to have to go spend at least $500 million on Shohei Ohtani. I don't think there's any way it goes under $500 million.
Oh, absolutely not. It's north of that, I would assume.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 6.
Yeah.
Maybe even 7. Yeah.
6 to 7 is probably what we're talking about here.
But now you have to go and find other pieces to go with him. You can't keep paying, right? When the draft, you don't develop these guys quick enough. You need to trade for some prospects. And really your only other piece is Mike Trout.
Yeah. Which will feel bad having to get rid of him, but at least you have Shohei Ohtani, who again, generational. Trout was, one of the best, if not the best players in baseball.
Oh yeah, he was the best player in baseball until Shohei showed up.
Yeah, and I mean, a wealth of talent is not something to be upset about. So and you got to be smart financially and economically and move pieces if you need to.
Maybe those guys over there who run that organization just have fucking billions coming out of their ears that they can spend that much money.
Maybe.
But God, I don't know how you get that team better for the long haul without making a trade of some kind.
Yeah.
And if you're keeping fucking Shohei, you got to move Trout. And if you're not going to keep Shohei, if you don't think you got a chance to retain him, you need to move him before the deadline to make that team competitive.
Yeah. I don't think the team will be competitive this year, to be honest, even if they were to move Trout, but you need to move Trout now in order to be ready for next year, start getting some of those good prospects.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably get a ready-made, like not a great player, but you could have a guy that, can come in and be a starter in place of Mike Trout, but you'll move off of him as soon as one of those prospects gets ready, gets better.
Sure. All right. MLB, is there anything else that you want to talk about leading up to trade deadline?
Not for me, brother. I am good there. Angels 5 games out of the wild card right now, so they got a lot of work to do.
All righty. Well, with that, we can jump into the NFL, and I'm going to kind of try to work backwards from earlier in the week from when we last talked. And again, I've got a lot of points here to go over. Some of it is bigger and actually worth a little more worth talking about. Some of it is a little bit of notes of things that are happening around the league. But we want to make sure that we put all this information out to you as much as possible. And there's even more than what we're going to go over today on the Lineman Lounge Facebook page if you want to go check that out. But we need to let you guys know what's going on in the league, so that way when you have your fantasy football drafts and things like that, which should be happening right now or pretty soon within the next couple of weeks, because I think we're only like 10 days away, maybe even less, from the first preseason games. So we're talking football on TV very quickly, which everyone should be super excited about. So all these things happening, we want to make sure that you guys are all aware of all the different moves that are happening in the NFL, so that way you can be making smart decisions if you're going to be doing like a fantasy football draft or something like that. So kind of starting off here, we have Jimmy Graham, tight end, re-signing back with the Saints, where he actually kind of cut his teeth and actually became big in the league. I think this is a bit of a whatever signing, because Jimmy Graham's best days are behind him. But he is now back.
I didn't know Jimmy Graham was still in the fucking league, to be honest.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I didn't know he was still playing. Was he with the Packers or something like that? I think
maybe. Yeah, but he wasn't even a number fucking 2 tight end. I don't feel like. I don't remember seeing him.
I'm sure I could find out here pretty quick, but I don't even really care. Point is,
Jimmy Graham's back
with the Saints, so that'll be great for Derek Carr. It's just like having Waller back there again. Saquon Barkley. We talked about the running back situation last week, and the running backs had a meeting. We reported about them having a little meeting to talk about the state of the running back market. And Saquon immediately the next day goes and signs a deal, a 1-year deal to stay with the Giants, which this deal, forgive me, makes no sense. To be clear, the franchise tag is fully guaranteed.
Yep, 10.25, I believe, is what it was.
Yeah, it is guaranteed against injury and everything like that. You get that money if you sign it. Okay. He went and signed a deal which basically brings him in the same amount of money.
Oh, he gets 11. It's 11 instead of 10.25.
Yeah, basically the same amount, with the possibility of it getting up to, I think, 13 if he hits incentives, which I don't know if you saw the incentives. And actually, it's not. He doesn't have to hit the incentives. He will get money based on percentages that he meets within those incentives. But they max out at like 1,600 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, 65 receptions, something like that, which means that he's putting up an MVP caliber year pretty much.
Yeah, he's going to be their entire offense and be paid dick and shit, when he could have just done the franchise tag, guaranteed himself the money, and then next year you're off into free agency. Now, that's a scary proposition right now for all running backs going out into free agency, because the money's really not there. But you can guarantee your money, take the guaranteed money. I don't understand it.
And I believe that was a note that he didn't have a clause put in his contract for no franchise tag or anything like that. So that we could be seeing all of this happen to him over again. Now, I don't know exactly how the franchise tag works, because they had put it on.
So the franchise tag next year, he should go up 20% from this year's.
And I'm thinking that's what it's supposed to be. I'm not positive, because he didn't sign the tag, so I don't know if that changes something somehow. Right. Either way, if you're putting yourself potentially in the same situation next year, yeah, you'd get a little bit more money probably, but still not a great situation. This is, again, Saquon Barkley, one of the better running backs in the league, has often been injured and had his first basically uninjured year last year, where he looked phenomenal.
Yeah, looked great.
But it is an outlier. So we'll see. It's interesting. If I were him, I would have taken, more guaranteed money on like a 3-year deal. Like, get yourself 15 to 17, maybe even 20 million guaranteed on a 3-year deal that's paying you an average of like 9 million a year, something like that, in a couple dead cap years, because chances are, as a running back, you're going to go downhill, you're going to get injured, something is going to happen with those next 3 years. Guarantee yourself a paycheck for a little while. That's just me.
So I am not a huge fan of the void years, but if I'm a running back, I kind of like the idea of void years. You're going to give me more money over these years, but you're going to void these contracts. I'm going to get a certain amount immediately with my guaranteed money. Like, void years are a good deal for running backs right now, because
void years they don't matter to the player. The void year money, if that is just financially moving it around in the books for the team, the player still gets that money off the rip. So the void year money is not something that they're going to be missing at all. Oh, Mike's taking a shit.
Peeing.
Or piss.
Yep, taking a piss. All right.
We are all joining you on this experience. All right. So anyways, interesting situation that happened there with Saquon Barkley, seeing him sign. It is interesting because the deal just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It feels like his team and he is kind of going to be like, yes, we won, and you won by doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like you didn't really help yourself. You didn't necessarily hurt yourself, but you kind of could have bettered yourself. So in that way, you hurt yourself. But either way, after that signing, everyone was like, all right, the next guy up is going to be Jonathan Taylor, which we'll get to in a little bit, because that also has kind of started to roll here recently. In addition to that, we had a couple extensions here. Trevon Diggs of the Dallas Cowboys, he got extended. I'm a big Stephon Diggs fan. I wanted the Vikings to draft his brother Trevon Diggs as a cornerback because we needed one. And I'm kind of glad that we didn't, because Trevon Diggs statistically is one of the worst cornerbacks in the league. He just is able to put up a lot of interceptions, but he lets a lot of catches happen on him. So he's definitely that epitome of boom or bust style cornerback. Game-changing plays of interceptions is great, but you are going to get a lot of passing yards on this guy. And the contract that he got is pretty big for it. But the other big extension that we had here, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert gets now the most lucrative quarterback deal in the NFL, which is what we're going to see every time one of these top tier quarterbacks signs a new contract. It's just going to go a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. And Justin Herbert he's deserving. He's top 5, I believe, in the league for me.
Yeah, he's close. He's close. Big Cock Brock could be up there after this year, depending on how he does.
Yeah, we'll see.
But I mean, listen, Justin Herbert, obviously the deals as they get done, they're going to be bigger every single fucking time. So that makes 100% sense. That it's a big ass deal. Do I think that he needs the biggest deal? No. Especially because he hasn't won a fucking playoff game yet. Like that is a problem for me as a fan, as if I'm in a front office. Now, are we blaming Justin Herbert, or are we blaming the absolute buffoonery that comes with some of the coaching decisions?
I'm so surprised that they kept Staley there. I'm so surprised that they kept Brandon Staley there. That's realistically, he probably should have been let go. He'll be a great defensive coordinator somewhere, but this is not like the fault of Herbert's progress and lack of playoff wins, things like that. I believe that is the team's problem. That is the coaching. And yes, Joe Rockstar, blame the coaching. I think that is front office and coaching more than anything with him. I think that the guy is very talented. Maybe he doesn't deserve right now to have the highest contract for a quarterback in the NFL, but it doesn't matter. His team is the one that holds the cards. When you're talking about a potential top 5 in the league quarterback, you're going to get the biggest deal. You're going to get the deal that you want because you have the team between a rock and a hard place. They can't go and let Herbert walk. They can't trade him.
No, I mean,
he is your future. You have to pay him whatever is required to keep him on your team. And that's just the modern NFL and the way that those quarterback contracts are going to work. You know, it's not like he's a Kirk Cousins where he's getting up there in age. He hasn't done anything his whole career as far as playoff wins and primetime wins. Is he a good quarterback? Yes. Does he put up good stats? Yes. But is he going to win you a championship? Probably not. You don't know. That's just kind of the way that it is with Kirk Cousins. You're not having that conversation where you're in a rock and a hard place because you can move on from him. When he's a guy that you drafted as a first-round pick who is showing progressing talent every year and is one of those top 5 guys in the league, there's other issues on the team, which it's very surprising. Again, that is a super talented team, especially in offense with those receiving options. Eckler at running back.
I don't know. Hurt. They're often hurt, man. That whole team is often hurt, which is, I think, one of the reasons that they have had so many problems outside of their fucking terrible coaching. So to give that much money, I get it. That's the model. Is the next guy is always the highest for the most part, as long as you're in that top tier. That's until Joe Burrow gets his contract, because that contract's going to be fucking outrageous.
Yes. I think the jump to Burrow is going to be more significant than we're seeing from all these other ones, for sure.
Joe might actually get a fully guaranteed deal.
That would be interesting, especially given his injury history, which we'll get to here in a little bit.
Hey, can you hear me okay like this? I had to scoot back a little bit.
It's not as good, but it's still fine. We're still perfectly good, Mike. I don't want you to. Next, Brock Purdy. So Joe Rockstar brought this up because he's a big 49ers fan, but Brock Purdy has been cleared for football activities.
Yes,
now, we had a little bit of conversation on the Facebook page about this between us and with Joe Rockstar. I personally feel like, hey, that is awesome that he's been cleared. We're talking about a Tommy John surgery, a UCL here. Let's not rush him back. If I'm the GM, if I'm John Lynch, or if I'm Kyle Shanahan, the whole let him throw every other day concept that they have going makes sense. Also, you're not seeing the preseason. You can get all of these good reps in practice. And I'm not going to put you out there where you could potentially get hurt while you're still rehabbing. I don't care if they said that you're 100% cleared. You're still rehabbing in my mind. I want them to leave him on the sideline as much as possible. And I see you looking, and I was confused too. I really thought that they said that he had gotten the Tommy John because that's the UCL surgery.
Right. I got to look it up now.
But either way, Brock Purdy cleared back for action. That is good for the 49ers. It's bad news for Trey Lance. And I don't think Sam Darnold really fucking cares because he's getting paid either way.
Yeah. So Sam's in a good spot. I just found this article. Let's see here.
Purdy did not undergo the full elbow reconstruction, which is common among baseball players, known as the Tommy John surgery. Pitchers often come back throwing with more velocity than before the surgery. So he didn't get a full reconstruction.
So they did go in and clean it up and all of that, but did not get Tommy John. So that changes it for me, because Tommy John, that takes a long time for that ligament to get back into a place where it should be for the healing process. So I still like the kid gloves every other day throwing, or just not every day. Brock can't throw every day right now. I know he didn't have the Tommy John. Just slowly bring him back, because the kid was incredibly fun to watch last year.
Yeah. Like
has a goofy release, goofy motion. So I'm not like anything extra throwing. I'm going to try to avoid, because of his motion is so like a 3/4 that it makes me worry he's going to stress the UCL more.
Yeah, I'll put it this way: is that it is obviously way too early to call someone like Tom Brady, but it gives you the same kind of feeling where it's the late round pick, the guy that is not spectacular at anything, but is good at most things, and the team really feels like they can rally around the David and Goliath type of situation where he feels like, he's got the world basically against him and he's still overcoming it. And that's what Tom Brady did for 20 plus years. And that's kind of the feeling that I get that he could have in his career path, as long as he's able to stay healthy and stuff like that. Not that he's going to play that long, not that he's going to have the titles like Tom does, but that's what makes Brock Purdy really fun. And there's no need to rush to failure to put him back in there. Let him heal, let him get back and be comfortable. This is the first time that he's going to be looked at, as being the starting quarterback potentially for a football team. Whereas last year, I'm sure he was number 2, number 3 on the depth chart.
Probably, yeah.
So,
probably number 3 would be my guess. Because 7th round pick. And then, but regardless, I want to see him come back, be healthy. So keep him clean throughout training camp. I wouldn't play him at all. And he's going to be the starting quarterback as soon as they say, yes, you're good to go 100%. You can start. Like, he's going back because Trey Lance has apparently looked like absolute fucking dog shit in training camp.
Yeah, that he definitely could be back in the trade block, assuming that everything with Purdy's health continues to look good.
I imagine that he will be traded at some point. There is no the dynamic in that quarterback room cannot be a good one with a first-round pick who you gave up 3 fucking first-round picks to go get, and then a kid you found in the 7th round. The money situation, I applaud John Lynch for saying, listen, kind of saying we fucked up. Trey has not been good. We're going to go with the guy who's in the 7th round rather than hanging on to a first-round pick and trying to make it work.
This is the thing that Joe Rockstar brings up all the time, is that after the draft happens, it doesn't matter, yes, there's a financial difference, but if you are able to take Trey Lance for all those picks and everything in the first round and trade and move around and get him and still walk away with the 7th round guy and Brock Purdy, who cares? Your investment ended up total investment in, investment back as a starting quarterback. Even if you got him in the 7th round, yes, that sucks that you could have used that first round capital on something else, but it is done. It's over with. That's the past. It's no longer a factor. If Trey Lance is not the guy and Purdy is, which looks to be the case, you might as well move Trey Lance while he still has that thought process. People don't know what his upside is yet, because the only people that are really seeing him are the 49ers staff, because he's been injured and hasn't played very much. So move him while you still can is the way that I feel. And if a quarterback goes down here for a team, that's when you could see a Trey Lance getting moved, in my opinion. All right. But we also had a question.
Trey Lance is going to get a lot of play during preseason. Yes. They're going to try to put him in the best situations possible to put him on display. So somebody's like, I want to go and trade for Trey Lance.
Yes. Joe Rockstar also had a question here to take on Bosa holding out. So he's on the 5th year or the 5th year of his rookie contract, which that 5th year, once you put that option in, bumped his pay up. Woo! Excuse me. Yeah, fully guaranteed. That bumped his pay up from what he was making in 2022, just under $900,000 a year, up to $17.8 million. But he is holding. Is a holdout or a hold in? I don't know, Joe. You'll have to tell us.
I believe it is a holdout. I don't think he has shown up to camp, and I don't think that is a problem with the front office either. John Lynch kind of is like, yeah, he'll be here when shit's done.
Yeah,
but they just haven't got to the deal yet. He's getting a massive fucking deal, and he deserves one.
Yeah, I see no way that the 49ers let him walk. Obviously, I don't think they'd let him walk. I don't think they'd even entertain trading him. It is just, it's gonna happen. He wants it sooner than later, I guess. Which understandable. It's not like if he doesn't go and practice or something like that, he's not going to have a good year. If anything, it's probably good for him, because the guy's like 3% body fat, which causes him to have some more injuries. And Joe, it says not at camp, but they aren't finding him. So
they're just working on a deal. That's all they're doing.
I would be careful with that, because I'll put it this way. We're going to get to the Neil Hunter here in a little bit for my team. He was doing what is called a hold in. So any day that the player does not show up to training camp, it is not on the team to find them or not. They are automatically fined by the league rules. It used to not be that way, but if they are holding out and they don't show up, they do get fined something like 51 million, or not 51 million, 51,000 a day. It is not up to the team. So if he shows up,
they change that.
That was like 2 years ago.
CBA?
The new CBA. With the Neil Hunter, he was doing a hold in, which is what a lot of players are doing now. He'll show up to the facility, high five the coach, and then they'll leave. But the team doesn't have to disclose what they're doing or anything like that. The player doesn't have to disclose what they're doing. For all we know, The player could be in the facility working out in the training room or with the massage therapist or just watching films, sitting down talking with the coaches. All they have to do is show up for a little bit, and the team has to say, you're good, to allow them to do a hold in. If the team wants to say, no, you're not participating, this is still considered a holdout, then they're playing aggressive with the player, but they are automatically fined by the league if it is considered a holdout. So they aren't finding him, which if they're not finding him, I would assume that it is a hold in because he's probably showing up high five and butt slapping and then bouncing.
Hey, John, did we come up with a fucking number that I like on my contract yet? No? Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Like
I said, it's not going to hurt him in any way. I don't think that, like I said, it's probably best for him not to get any extra bumps, bruises, or be running around on a turf field or something like that where he could possibly hurt himself, like we've already started to see happen with some players here in training camp. Stay healthy. You'll get the deal done. I'm positive they will get a deal done. So
this is going to be the largest, probably largest contract in defensive player history coming up.
Yeah, very, very potential. Yeah, because you don't have another guy that's really due for one right now.
No, Myles Garrett was 2 years ago that we re-signed. Like another dominant, like incredibly dominant pass rusher. I don't think there is another one, and those are the guys that get paid. So
and Bose is 25. He's right in the middle of his prime. So you can get a 5-year deal, 5-year extension done where it's going to seem fucking massive right now, but by the end of that 5 years, it's going to probably be like 10th best, 12th best contract for a defensive end type thing. So it'll still be considered a value for the type of player that he is.
I mean, I bet he's looking at probably 30?
Over.
33?
I would say 33 to 35 a year.
Yeah. God, man.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Other than that, a couple other extensions happened. Offensive tackles Titus Howard of the Texans and Andrew Thomas of the Giants both were extended. Cole Kmet, tight end for the Bears, was extended. That one was a little bit surprising to me. Not that he was extended, but the price, I believe it was $12 million a year that he's getting, which is closer to that top end tight end money. And I think Cole Kmet is kind of a middle of the pack, whatever tight end. I'm not big on Cole Kmet. I'm paying attention to this because we're working on an extension with TJ Hawkinson right now. And TJ Hawkinson to me is a top 5 tight end, probably number 5 right around, but he's the top 5 level tight end. Cole Kmet is maybe top 10, but probably 10, not for me. And so how much more is Hawkinson going to be commanding? That's kind of why I'm watching this. I hate when I see players who I don't think deserve as big of a contract actually get it, because it drives up the good players even more. We've got Budda Baker, who was talking about holding and then didn't hold out and holding in and wanting out of Arizona. He ends up signing a new 1-year deal, so he's going to be sticking it out there in Arizona for this year. Congrats to Budda Baker. You're on a losing team. Hope the money's worth it.
The 1 year, big time payday. Buddha's also very young. He's got a lot of game left. Take your big fat chunk of money this year and then hit free agency and get the fuck out of there. He's not going back. They're going to have to franchise him, and then it's going to turn into a fiasco. But he's already made the trade request. I hope his attorney, or Jesus Christ, his attorney. I got too many things going on in my life. His agent would tell him, like, listen, we're not fucking coming back. You can franchise tag him if you want, but he ain't fucking playing.
Yeah, he won't sign it.
Yeah, he's not going to fucking sign it. So,
all right, next up, we have some news over on the East Coast with the New York Jets. So a contractual situation happened with their quarterback. Also, Dalvin Cook is there as of today, checking in and has a high probability, according to him, of signing with the Jets. So first off, what do you think about Dalvin Cook potentially going to the Jets? Do you think it's a good fit with their current running back room?
I think this is fucking stupid by the Jets. I think this is Aaron playing GM a little too much. You have a very good young running back. Now, I understand he's coming off of an injury, but you do not need to spend a shitload of money on Dalvin Cook. Now, if he signs, I'll be interested to see what the deal is. If it is starter level money, it makes absolutely no fucking sense, because you want Breece Hall to be the guy going forward. That's what makes most sense to me.
To me, honestly, if they are able to do a true 1-2 backfield where they are splitting time equitably, I get Dalvin Cook going there. I get the appeal because one of Dalvin Cook's issues has been the injury history. Despite that, he's still top 5 in all running back numbers since 2019. Top 3, I believe, in most of them, whether it's touchdowns, yards per attempt, things like that. He has a repaired shoulder this year, which he's been putting off since like 2018, which is a good thing because that hopefully will increase his durability in the long run. He has the potential to be a starting back for another couple of years in this league for a team if he wants to. But Breece Hall should be your starting running back if you're the Jets.
It makes sense for Dalvin, depending on the money. It doesn't make sense for the Jets organization, though. In my opinion, I don't get it.
If they're going to be more of a pass-focused team now, having Aaron Rodgers there doesn't make as much sense. But having a two-headed monster at running back is not going to hurt the team unless this is, again, starter-level money, because Dalvin is looking for 12+ mil a year, potentially up to 14 mil a year. I don't think that the Jets are going to do that. I don't think that they should do that. They can afford to, but I don't think it's a smart move
because of a contract situation that happened with a quarterback. Yep. You don't want to talk about it, do you?
Oh, we can talk about it all we want. Yeah. I'm ready for it.
We can finish on the running backs. I don't like the idea for the Jets. I believe that I'd rather have Breece Hall be my lead back and then maybe go find a guy on the cheap to help supplement. Like, there's plenty of fucking dudes. I don't know that Dalvin coming in and splitting in a true timeshare is the right thing. I think they're trying to have a similar model to what they had up in Green Bay, but I don't know why we're trying to have the fucking Green Bay Jets. It doesn't make sense.
His name is escaping me. Hunt. Kareem Hunt. He's still out there as a free agent. He's a super cheap option to bring in, receiving back number 2 type of guy that would be really solid behind Breece Hall.
Yeah, there are plenty of fucking dudes that are going to be cheaper than Dalvin. I don't get it, but
yeah. So now contract. What are your thoughts on this little contract restructure for Aaron Rodgers?
It's surprising. I really didn't expect Aaron to be like, you know what? Yeah, I'll give some of my money back so we can try to win a title. Because I thought he was kind of beyond that. Maybe him leaving Green Bay and getting away from that organization has made him see things in a different light. I fucking doubt it, but maybe he is more concerned with going out and winning titles rather than being a fucking star, because now he knows what it's like to have the goddamn cameras on you at all times, being out there in New York or New Jersey. But I'm good for Aaron showing some maturity and helping the team get better. Why just did not expect it.
You were an NCO in the Army, right?
Yeah. Yes, I was.
So you were a leader of soldiers. So if you had a PT formation and some of your soldiers showed up to PT formation on time, ready to go for PT, would you go back to the office real quick and write them an award?
No.
Yeah, because you don't give praise for doing the right thing, doing your job. He's a dog shit quarterback getting paid way too much. He should have not had that money in the fucking first place. I don't give a fuck that he gave up the money because he shouldn't have had it in the first place. He's not worth it. So this brings him back down on a contract, which makes a little bit more sense for his quality of play and the type of person that he is. Good for the Jets. Good for the Jets. I'm happy for the Jets because that takes a little bit of the pressure off of them from making such a dog shit move to bring in a dog shit quarterback.
Yeah, the fact that he was getting as much as he was with the play. Listen, he won back-to-back MVPs a couple of years ago. Last year he was fucking terrible though. But that contract was already.
There has been a bunch of errant throws in camp already.
Dude, Garrett Wilson's a stud. That's what we need to be talking about, because Garrett Wilson is catching balls that motherfuckers shouldn't be able to catch. Yeah. Because Aaron is throwing some balls that are uncatchable for a lot of dudes.
Yeah. So look, if we want to give a high five and a butt slap to Aaron Rodgers for doing something positive for his team other than himself, I'm not going to be the one to do it. I'm just surprised that he did it because it is so, different from what he normally does. It's a dichotomy that we have not seen from Aaron Rodgers. And I think it's because he just wants to kind of maybe say fuck you to the Packers or something like that, because he never did it for them.
It feels a little bit like a big old fuck you
I like a fuck you to the Packers. That's always cool. But I like a fuck you to the Packers when it actually hurts them and impacts them negatively. This is just him, I think, being a little petty because he doesn't really care about the money. Either that or he found a great ayahuasca dealer up there in New York because maybe it made him a little bit more of a hippie and happy about not having to do so much shit with the money. I don't know. It allows for options like bringing in a Dalvin Cook and some of these luxury signings, especially on one-year deals, because if Aaron plays bad this year, and we've said it before, if he plays bad this year, I don't think he's coming back next year. And last year, he looked really bad until midway through the season. And then he started to look a little bit better, but he still did not look like the Aaron Rodgers like people were expecting him to be from a couple years ago.
Listen, we're going to have plenty of opportunities to fucking see Aaron this year. He plays in New York now on the Jets, and his name is Aaron Rodgers. But he's going to be fucking on TV all the goddamn time.
So sorry here, Norwood saying that I'm not popping up the comments. It's because I'm in a diatribe right now. Yeah. Jets fans
get off
don't
that
know what
fucking soapbox, baby.
Jets fans don't know what the word dichotomy means. Well, Jets fans might. Packers fans definitely don't because their education system stops at grade 3. That's when they start fucking their siblings and they just go off hunting and eating cheese. Did Aaron Rodgers throw up all of his football skills when he did ayahuasca? He lost some of them, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, the ayahuasca probably does not help with the football. But man, there's some other things that we got to talk about, like because there's other comments in here. Aaron Rodgers telling Sean Payton to keep his fucking coach's name out of his mouth. I would like to talk about that because that was Sean Payton don't give a fuck right now.
No. When Sean Payton's got pictures going around at draft time of him ripping a bong and stuff like that, like he doesn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about the comments from Sean Payton because he was taking like serious shots at Nathaniel Hackett, current offensive coordinator for the Jets.
All valid
points. Yes.
He was dog shit.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know. How the fuck could you make this team this bad?
It's going to be super awesome to watch Jonathan Gannon be even worse this year, though. Just saying that.
Yeah.
We thought we had a bad coaching hire last year with Hackett. It's going to be worse with Gannon this year.
Yeah. But Hackett was like objectively fucking terrible. Had to hire an additional coach to help him with clock management.
Was that the guy that they had take over as the head coach too? I can't remember. Yeah.
Yes, it's the guy that took over as the head coach. You hired your replacement because you couldn't fucking keep track of time. Sean was right. They were so bad. I don't understand how they could make that hire. But Sean also maybe wants to tread a little lighter because all the people he's talking shit about work in that Denver Broncos organization. What fucking dipshits hired this guy?
Hey,
it's the same dipshits that hired you, Sean.
That's true. I mean, the Waltons the Hackett hiring happened before the Walton takeover, I believe.
Correct. That did happen, but the front office has not really changed.
Elway's out now, and it's Peyton, right? George Peyton. So, and Peyton, who I liked him as an assistant GM with the Vikings. I'm not positive that he's done a fantastic job, especially, I mean, the Russell Wilson deal puts, the glasses on for me. It's not rose tinted. It's dog shit tinted because that was a terrible deal. At least, if we're talking hindsight, it definitely looks dog shit. I think that if the Broncos don't look significantly better this year, they're probably going to make a GM change, and Sean Payton might just take over those duties because I think that's really what he wanted.
Yeah, I think he wants full control. Yeah, he wants full control. He wants to be like Bill.
Yeah. So that's very possibly going to happen. And at that point, I don't think he cares if he hurts people's feelings in the front office because he is now the front office. So,
yeah, that's very true. But yeah, wild scenario. They're going to play each other this year. I don't imagine the handshakes are going to go very well.
Yep. Couple other signings here. Bills ended up signing Andy Isabella after he was released by the Ravens. He kind of takes over in that Cole Beasley role.
I like Andy Isabella. I did. I loved Andy Isabella coming out. Just has not really produced.
Yeah, he hasn't been a whole lot. I will say this: he was on a Cardinals team with a overrated quarterback. He went to a Ravens team with a running quarterback. Um, Maybe going to a team that has more of a passing game, one that wants to get more diverse with this passing game. Um, that could definitely help him. Worst case, they get a solid, competent number 4 with some returning capability. So I think that that's a solid pickup there by the Bills, a relatively cheap one. Shitty signing that happened was the Dolphins going out and signing Eli Apple, but they had to because Jalen Ramsey is hurt, out for what, a majority of the season now. I think 3/4 of the year is what they're expecting,
Yeah.
with a partial meniscus repair or something like that.
Yeah. And I
Um,
commented on this on the Facebook page. Like, to go from Jalen Ramsey to Eli Apple is a fucking terrible, terrible downgrade.
but
But
not as bad as it would
it's
have been.
not as bad as it really could have because Jalen has lost a lot, man.
It's surprising because Jalen did not look good with that Rams team last year. And I'll say this, that Rams team was very, very bad. It's as much as I am a fan of the NFL, okay? Um, I generally know the names or I've heard the names of most players who are starters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this year, starting defensive end for in the base 3-4 for the Rams is Kobe Turner. And I have no idea who the fuck that is. There's a whole bunch of names. Michael Hocht, the starting strong side linebacker in their 3-4. Never fucking heard of him. There's that is what we're working with on this Rams team. Yes, this year, but last year wasn't much different. It was a bad defense, and you didn't even see Aaron Donald necessarily doing what Aaron Donald does as much. And is that him going off of a cliff because he's getting older, or is it just because everything around him is dog shit? Jalen Ramsey did not look good last year, and he
Yeah.
is
So
getting
I
to
don't.
that age where he could be going downhill.
Yeah.
We
That's right.
really would have known this year if he had gotten to play a majority of the year, if he was still Jalen Ramsey of old, being on that Dolphins team.
I
Now
would
we're
st-
not
I
going
would say I would still take the Jalen Ramsey from last year, who was not good. Like, everybody can see that was not the same Jalen Ramsey. He was torched deep a lot. Um,
yes.
but I would still take that Jalen Ramsey over Eli Apple.
And you also have to look at the defensive staff there with the Rams as well. They have been purged. Their whole coaching staff has gone on to bigger, better things. I mean, my head coach is KOC. You had Ajiro Evero, who went and was the defensive coordinator for Denver last year, but he was previously part of that defensive staff there with the Rams, and now Ajiro's off to, I believe, Carolina. But great hire by them. But still, like the defensive staff has been plundered. Their players have been. They did the fuck them picks mentality. They are getting their first round pick, I believe. No, next year we'll have their first round pick since like the Jared Goff 2016 pick. So like the way that they have gone about things is weird. It earned them a championship though.
Yeah, they got a fucking Lombardi out of it. Now you got to pay the piper on the back end.
And one of the shows that I like to watch, Purple Daily, Vikings program, they actually, their slogan is they want to win a Super Bowl before they die, which I lovingly also like to parrot, because I would love to see my Vikings get a Super Bowl before I die. And they brought up the question, would you take a Super Bowl win this year if it meant that for a decade you were a sub 500 team? And unequivocally, I say yes. Because yes, are the next 10 years going to suck having to see what happens to this team? Yes. And it's going to be tough to watch. But my team has never had a Super Bowl. We've never won a Super Bowl. In my lifetime, I want to see us win a Super Bowl. 10 years from now, I'll be 43 and I can start enjoying football again. I would absolutely take it.
One championship and then a decade of sucking. I'm in. You sign me up. I'm a Browns fan. I've had 2 fucking decades of sucking.
Yeah.
I'm just used to that. You give me a Super Bowl, yeah, 100%. Like, I assume that this is a nice little colloquialism of across all of football fans. That I want the Browns to be the pallbearers at my funeral so they can let me down just one last time.
Yeah.
That's what it is to be a Browns fan. So give me one fucking Super Bowl and we'll suck for 10 years. And I'd love that.
That I would like to hear from a true like diehard Rams fan for the past 3 or so decades what they think about that question, because they actually lived it. You had the greatest show on turf in 98, 99 or whatever, yep. Marshall Faulk and Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner. You had a fantastic team back then who went to a Super Bowl and lost. Or did they lose? I can't remember.
They won one. They won where they stopped the Titans just short, and then they lost the next one, which is what started the dynasty of the Patriots.
Yes, and that next one that they lost, it was 14 years before they ended up seeing success again. So they literally went through kind of what I was saying with 10 years off, but worse. 10 years of not having a winning record, of being a dog shit team. It's something that, I know Norwood here brought it up. No New England fan would agree to that. And you guys have had an unbelievable dearth of talent, not dearth, an unbelievable wealth of championships. And it's not like that for 31 other NFL teams right now,
Yeah, Norwood has been able to enjoy fucking 6 Super Bowls in his lifetime. I haven't even seen one. So that's not the fucking same. You went to 10. Of course you're not going to take that. For teams that have never even been to the Super Bowl, I'm selling my goddamn soul for one Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, your team definitely did, because you got Deshaun Watson out there basically going back in his statements and being like, I didn't do anything wrong.
This fucking story I thought we were done. I thought we were fucking done with this story.
I don't think they just need to keep him away from a mic unless he's just talking purely football.
Jesus Christ, man. Like, you cannot make the statement. It was the media generating a narrative.
Whether he is right or wrong, that maybe it is the media generating a narrative, and maybe 20-something odd women are colluding. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. You just don't talk about it anymore.
Don't say those fucking words out loud. You said the quiet part out fucking loud.
Yes.
Stop saying things like this.
Yeah.
Because then we have to live this fucking nonsense again and again and again.
Yep. And Joe, we see here last Super Bowl was in 94. Did get 5 in your lifetime. I haven't seen a single Super Bowl for my Vikings in my lifetime. Have they been? Yes. Have they won? No. I just want a Super Bowl before I die.
We've never been. We have never fucking made it. If I'd have lived in the 60s, I'd have been real happy watching the Browns play all the time. Mm-hmm. For the one time it was televised. But, I want a Super Bowl. That's all I fucking want.
Yep. So in other news, Joe Burrow is down with the injury. Sounds like it's going to be several weeks. They're going to keep him out of camp, out of working out and stuff like that. It's a calf strain, I believe, of some sort. Looks like he pulled up while he was doing a little bit of a loop around there in the pocket. It sucks because, he's obviously trying to work on that new contract and everything. This is probably something that if we're talking about, he needs to play a real life game in a week or two, he probably, I think, would play. But right now they have the luxury of letting him sit for the remainder of the preseason and training camp, because the guy has got everything above the shoulders that you need in order to be super successful in the league. He knows the system. That's not changing. He knows the guys on his team. That's not changing. He's
got all the physical talents.
Stud receivers out there. Recently re-signed Joe Mixon. They got a good fucking offense ready to go. He just needs to get healthy. He'll be fine. And it'll give him and his team time to work on a new contract, I suppose.
Yeah. They're gonna get a new contract probably before the start of the year. And Joe shouldn't see the field again probably for the rest of the training camp preseason. There's absolutely no reason to put Joe Burrow out there. Unless you want to get him going through walkthroughs in 3 weeks. He doesn't need the reps.
Question here from Norwood concerning that Super Bowl stuff. If I were you got your wish, would you go?
100%. I'd take out a second mortgage on my house.
Yeah, I would do what I needed to. My dad promised me when I was a little kid that if the Vikings ever went to a Super Bowl, that him and I would go. I plan on holding him to that unless he's unable to do it for some reason. But one way or the other, I will try to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
At
that point, hey, maybe we'll have a spot over there on Radio Row.
Maybe.
Ooh,
that'd be dope.
That'd be so crazy.
Some other running back news happening throughout the league. We have Sony Michel, which was actually brought up here in the feed a little bit early. Sony Michel retires. A very short career. I believe Norwood said 40% of his years in the NFL were as a Super Bowl winner, which is fantastic for him.
That's another mass hole comment. That's what that is. Fucking Massachusetts fans like, oh yeah, this guy retired with 40% of his seasons as Super Bowls because we're fucking Patriots fans.
Yeah,
I get it, Norwood. You guys were good for a very long time.
We also have Zeke Elliott out there visiting the Patriots. So this is his first visit that he has taken this offseason since being released from the Dallas Cowboys. Interesting to see if that would be a situation that works out for him. I think he's cooked personally, and Ramondre Stevenson is the dude up there. And he did say one of them was a Rams win for Sony Michel.
Yeah,
which is true. But the other real big and the last kind of major news, other than we have talking about something in my neck of the woods, is Jonathan Taylor had a meeting with Jim Irsay to talk about his contract and whatnot. And then immediately afterwards, formally requested a trade. Jim Irsay came out and had some interesting comments doing what Jim Irsay does, which, again, that's another guy that just needs to kind of shut the fuck up about things, because I don't think any of his comments can be taken that well, about how if I'm gone and Taylor's gone out of the league still moves on. Like, he should be happy with the contract and the money he's getting. We're not trading him, all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here with Jonathan Taylor, because
so the contract requests or demands, from what I'm seeing as reported, are very, very high. $16+ million a year. He's not getting that. He's not getting it from Jim Irsay for sure. Yeah. And I don't think there's another team in the league that would trade for him and then pay him that.
Yeah, I don't believe so either.
He is going to stay on the Colts. This will probably be his last year unless they decide that they're going to franchise tag him. But I do not think that they will do that. Jim Irsay is kind of one of those guys. We'll just say, fuck you and go do your own thing.
I feel like the two sides should be able to come to a better agreement that can get him somewhere closer to what Saquon is making, because that makes a little bit more sense for Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is younger than Saquon. He did have a down year last year and some injuries and whatnot, but I think his potential for longevity is a little bit higher than Saquon right now.
And I'm not sure last year's downward production had anything to do with Jonathan Taylor, other than the injuries.
The team was really bad. Yeah. Now, I'll say this, is that if you're able to get him on a contract for 3 years at around 12 to 13 mil a year, something like that, or if you want to, again, add some void years or something like that to get him a little bit higher and happier with what he wants to keep him on your team, I think as the Colts, you do it. Because now I love Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be a fantastic quarterback.
And he's apparently looked like fucking a stud during camp so far.
Yeah. Well, and not to say that our boy, friend of the show, Gardner Minshew, isn't awesome as well as a backup there. But this is a running team right now. The identity of this team has to be running. Richardson can be a running quarterback at worst. Jonathan Taylor can be one of the best running backs in the league. You used to have just a stocked stud offensive line. Identity of this team until Richardson develops into that passing quarterback, because they didn't do much at receiver. They didn't do much at receiver this year. So, and that was a big issue for them last year. The identity of this team is running. And if you take away your running back, what are you doing?
Yeah. You're putting Anthony Richardson in a really bad spot.
Absolutely. So I get the running back market. I get why Irsay wouldn't want to pay more, but also you have to take a pulse of your team and decide, do we want to at least be somewhat competitive this year? Do we want to provide a safety net for our rookie quarterback to help him develop?
You need something, but I don't know. I don't think this is going to work out well for either side. I don't see Jim Irsay giving in, re-signing him to a big deal. He came out and made comments about the running back meeting, and that, listen, this fucking CBA was worked on for a long time, and we can't just have people going and saying that they need a different thing for this one position group. Like, Jim Irsay is not on the side of the running backs. He's not going to be on Jonathan Taylor's side, because fiscally, it doesn't make a lot of sense the way the NFL is going right now to pay these guys. I hope that some of these guys get paid, but you're not getting $16 million a year, and you damn sure aren't getting it from Jim Irsay after his comments.
Yeah. Yeah. If that's what Jonathan Taylor's looking for, that's definitely too much. I mean, I think that's too much for most teams to pay that level of running back. If Nick Chubb went to the Browns right now and said, I need $16 million, would you be okay with that?
Yes, that's about one of the only backs that I'd be okay with. Him and CMC, because CMC does so many other things.
I think that is like the max end of the spectrum for me, and I would still struggle to do it with both of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, so listen, $16 million, we're talking about it like it is just this massive number, but it is a massive number for running backs. That is small potatoes for a lot of position groups in the NFL.
Yeah.
So 16 I could do. I don't think I could go over 16. That would be the very top end. I think that might be what CMC is at right now.
Yeah.
16.
14 still feels like the sweet spot for me for starting caliber running backs.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it there with the running back stuff. It will be interesting to see what happens with Jonathan Taylor going forward, because it seems like it was not a positive meeting. And then the comments after the meeting seemed much more antagonistic. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I had that up there a little bit earlier.
Oh, did you? I missed it. That's a great comment.
Yep. And then in other news, the Vikings, Danielle Hunter, like I said, he was doing a hold in. They're trying to work on a contract. He was supposed to make just under $5 million this year. The contract was structured where he was meant to be either re-signed or traded this offseason. Reports had come out yesterday that if they couldn't come to a deal with him, that they would work on trading him. He had a lot of Instagram likes of Jaguars and Jaguars players out of nowhere, so it seemed like something might be materializing there. But we ended up re-signing Danielle Hunter this morning, $17 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed deal with incentives that get him up to about $20 million. That $17 million per year, which is just for this 1 year, puts him, I believe, at the 8th highest defensive end contract, which for him is decent. He is, I mean, I love him. He's a Pro Bowler. He's at least a star, if not an all-star type of player. Is his stock going to start trending downwards? Probably, because he is over that 30 hump. And that's when you can start to see things dwindle a little bit. I'm glad that we get to keep him this year. He will probably not be with us next year based on the way that these contracts have worked, because they also put there into the contract, he cannot be franchise tagged. He cannot be transition tagged. So they are basically made this contract a shit or get off the pot type of contract. They would have to offer him the money that he wants before free agency next year to get him to not leave. Otherwise, he is out of here. And I get it. He wants to get paid because, to be completely honest, Danielle Hunter has taken team-friendly deals since he's been with the Vikings and has been criminally underpaid.
He's kind of on a team-friendly deal now. 17 seems light for Danielle, especially if he's healthy.
It could be, but I think that was the trade-off, was that you get to leave next year and try to go get that bag. Being under Brian Flores, if you got Flo with you working, he's going to have an aggressive defense. It could put up big numbers for Danielle, which would definitely help him in the market next year. So I'm super happy that we get to keep him. I would have loved to have seen him here for another 3 years.
I think there's possibilities that you can work out another deal, but it's very small now with just a 1 year deal.
It's going to be tough because we have JJ, who's going to get a big contract here real soon. Hawkinson, who's going to get a big contract here real soon. And then we have the question of quarterback. So Kirk Cousins, this is his last year on contract. I was really hoping, again, during the draft process, that we would get our quarterback of the future and have him marinate for a year behind Cousins and then move on to not having to worry about that contract. It's not the case. Now we are again in a, shoot or get off the pot type situation with quarterback as well. This team is going to be in flux here after this year for sure. The only way that I think Kirk Cousins sticks around on the Vikings is if
massive pay cut.
Not even that. I think that he has to make it to like the NFC Championship. I think that's about it. So we'll see.
I know you're bullish on your boys as always, but I think that this team might be worse than they were last year.
So question here, who was the last running back that was so talented that they had generational ability to dictate or how that team went? 2012 Vikings with Adrian Peterson, where he almost set the record. That was all Adrian Peterson. I would agree with that. You might have had a little bit with Derrick Henry a couple years ago with the Titans, but
yeah,
I'm not sure if there's another one.
The Derrick Henry went over 2 Bills, right? Or 2000. I think he was right there. I think he did. So that maybe that's it. CMC has never been that dominant. I'm sorry, Joe.
CMC is a fantastic running back, top 3, top 5 in the league. But with Norwood's question there, it's more of like he's the only guy on the team. Now with the Panthers, yes, was he the only guy there? But
they didn't
win.
win
For a while. But he didn't actually like put the entire team on his shoulders and create wins out of it. Whereas AP with Christian Ponder at quarterback, he did carry that team basically
to the playoffs.
I think they beat Packers first round of the playoffs. Lost in the second round. That was big for AP, but that we knew that team was not good.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough to say because there was a lot of things that came through, but the year that the Browns made the playoffs with Nick Chubb here and Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb was a massive part of us being able to fucking make it to that point. I don't know if not the same impact as AP though. AP is probably the dude like you can point to as your North Star and be like, this fucking guy was the only reason this team was any goddamn good.
Yeah. And I don't know if we're going to have another running back like that, like in the near future. I don't think that there's a running back that can command that sort of respect and contract and control of a team. Yeah. But either way, I'm happy for Danielle Hunter getting some money, getting to come back. I do think that this is actually a positive thing for the Vikings, though, because like you kind of said, it seems a little bit more team friendly. This checks off one thing off the block that we don't have to worry about this year. Obviously, it will become an issue next year, but I think that we could be going into not a rebuild, but it is going to be a lot more turnover again next year, getting younger and seeing a new direction of the team, quarterback and defense. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the question for you guys is when you make the change at quarterback.
Yep.
Because KOC is going to get to pick his guy at some point. Now, is that next year? We'll see. Kirk balls
they get
out.
a fifth rounder this year in Jaron Hall from BYU, who has been lighting it up in camp, apparently, making Nick Mullins not look too good. So we'll see. I'm very interested to see Jaron Hall in the preseason because I think that he has the potential to be a long-term backup.
Okay, all right. Hey, long-term backups that's probably the greatest spot in all of fucking sports. Long-term backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's what I got as far as notes for the NFL.
Yeah, man, and I don't really have too much of anything else. I was going to bring up the Browns and Deshaun Watson, but we already hit on that, so I'd like to not talk about that ever again. If we could stop talking about 27 women, filing suit against my quarterback that we decided to give an entire fucking guaranteed deal to. But yeah, I don't think I got anything else I'd like to talk about because
but you do have some fun to look forward to here in, if we're not counting today, 4 days. August 3rd, Thursday this week, we have the first preseason game, that Hall of Fame game versus the Jets and the Browns at 5 p.m. So that'll be fun. You won't see any Aaron Rodgers or probably any of the starters out there, really.
No, you won't see any of the starters. The Hall of Fame game is awful.
Yes, but we got football, baby. We got football Thursday of this week, everybody. It is back.
Yeah. What I'm excited for this week, the Hall of Fame, not the game, because that game is dog shit. Joe Thomas gets to go into the Hall of Fame. He is the last speaker going down at Canton. Deserves it. Is going to be in front of a massive fucking crowd of Browns fans. Pumped for Joe Thomas. I love seeing the speeches of guys going into the Hall. That's what this week is for. That getting to celebrate the guys that we grew up with. It's definitely not for the Hall of Fame game, because I'd venture to say 90% of the guys that you see play in the Hall of Fame game will not make a fucking roster.
Yeah, a lot of them won't, for sure.
So,
but we'll see. After that, next game's coming up will be August 10th, which is a week away from Thursday. That is also Thursday. That's when my Vikings have their game versus the Seahawks. We're going to start seeing this week, possibly in the next week, some joint practices happening. We might see some more fights. Travis Kelce won't be having to punch his own teammate. And we're going to have probably more injuries and things like that to talk about. Maybe some more running back news and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't think the running back news is going to go well for the running backs, though, when that happens. But
not anymore, no.
Yeah. Brother, I got nothing else for today. I appreciate you and kind of still running the ship while I'm beat up. And I was trying to type up the intro for all this. I was like, I can't fucking type. Ended up bringing extra menus and shit. So thank you. I appreciate you. And to everybody who watches and listens to us, we appreciate you guys as well. If you want to interact with the show, go to Facebook. We have a Facebook group, constantly information coming out on there. We also have a page. Head over to X, formerly known as Twitter. You can interact with us there at Lineman Lounge. We got TikTok, Instagram, Threads. So all of the social medias, you can find us. You can hit us up, send us a message if there's something that you want us to talk about. If you want to listen to our beautiful voices, head to any podcast platform and you can listen. Episodes, I actually pretty sure I need to catch up. I'm pretty sure we're a few episodes behind while I was in the hospital. I have not gone through and done any editing to get them all up, but I will try to get that here in the near future. But
my God, my dog just farted and it's fucking gassing me out.
If you want to watch us and hear things about, dogs farting or things coming out of my dick hole, head over to the YouTube. All right. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and then you'll see every time that we go live. Guys, I'm Mike. That's Evo. Thank you guys. Anytime you spend time with us, we appreciate it. We'll be back next week. See you.